Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, I come with great news. This is my favorite event, probably most people's favorite event, but this event is so exciting and so good for your progression. So we have here the 8-year global anniversary special 6-star legendary rune crafting event. So for all of you guys who are new players, I will be going through the event. If you're not a new player and you've already seen this all, you can just skip to the timestamps in the chapters, but otherwise, let's get to it. Event schedule for this is going to be June 8th until July 31st. So we have almost 2 months to complete the whole thing. And then the rewards will be available for an additional day afterwards. So greetings from Com to us. We will be holding a 6-star legendary runecraft event to celebrate Summoners War Global Service 8th anniversary. Craft 2 6-star legendary runes with a rune type and slot number of your choice, along with the power up +6. So what this means essentially is that you can craft a rune with the subsets you want and then upgrade it to +6 before pulling the rune off. So you can start with an HP percent slot 6 that has speed, attack, defense percent, and accuracy, and start with 18 speed. These are your best chances to get triple quad speeds, basically. So this event is super hot. It's easily everyone's favorite, and I'm just really excited. There is one minor detail difference that I noticed. So in the event details this time, the points are earned a little bit differently. So this time it's check-in for 100 points. Every energy is 1 point. Arena and World Arena invitations are 3 points. Guild content is 5 points. Dimensional Hole energy is 5 points. And crystals acquiring are worth 1 point for every 2 crystals. So the only difference here between what we usually get on these and what we are getting this time is that normally acquiring runes gives you points, and acquiring gems and grinds and whatever, but this time it is simply just use energy. So if you were saving your rune crafting materials to craft runes for this event, just craft them. It doesn't matter. It's not going to give you any extra points here. I'm sorry to say, but I do think this is an easier system, so I'm not upset with the change that they made. But let's get right into it. So event 1, craft power up 6-star legend runes up to 2 times. So it costs to select the rune type. So rune type being like violent or despair or anything like that. And then with the second one is selecting your rune number, so rune slot 1 through 6, and then your main property. So keep in mind, these runes do not come with innate stats, so they will never have prefixes. So when you're rolling it to change substat properties, it's going to randomize the stats that you get and the starting roll. So it's basically like a reappraisal stone, but only for starting rolls. And then once you're happy with your stats, then you can select it and then go to the power up rune and change power up stat value. When you get to the power up rune and power up stat value portion, that's where you're going to be looking for the +18 speed on most runes. Or if you're doing a speed slot 2, you're going to be looking for +18 crit rate or +24 HP defense attack or accuracy or whatever it is you're looking for. Additionally to that, we're going to be get hero plus grindstone as enchant gems. So basically what this is you can, once you're finished your rune event, you can re-roll for 3 legend grinds and 3 legend gems. And then they're also doing the same thing for artifacts. So normally under this circumstance, we're like, if you reach a certain point in the event, you want to jump in and do your gems and grinds because you want something decent at least. In this case, I think what they've set it up as is basically getting your runes and your grinds and gems won't be too difficult, and then all your extra points are really going to be towards getting these really good artifacts. I think that the artifacts are genuinely not the play if you're not endgame to focus on. If you're super endgame, I think you focus on the artifacts before you focus on the grinds and gems. If you are anything that's not endgame, so you're early game, mid game, you're like kind of working towards getting into like G3 Siege and stuff like that, you're probably more focused on getting the gems first because you're going to need those legend gems and grinds. Additionally with that, we're also going to be getting a new set of emotes. We do get the Camilla emotes here, the Valkyrie emotes. I think they're really cute. Not everyone likes emotes, I get it. They're kind of toxic in RTA, but they're really fun in chat, so I'm pretty excited about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the event. This is definitely my favorite event. Last time I rolled a 22 speed and a 29 speed on Swift, so I'm feeling very good about that. And otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. We're going to be talking about what runes to take, why to take them, and what kind of substats you're looking for. In terms of the event, a lot of people are going to ask, what should I craft? What are the best runes? And in this video, we're going to go over that. So if you're here, you skip the intro, perfect. We're here, we're talking about the good stuff. So the first rune I want to talk about, and I think this is the highest priority rune for most players, is going to be a violent HP percent slot 6. Now the reason that I consider this to be one of the most valuable runes to get is because you need a lot of these. right? If you play RTA, if you play Siege, if you play Arena, everything. This rune is so versatile and so valuable, right? This is your highest chance to get a 30 speed rune in this slot with good substats as well. It's a really good chance to get a 24 speed. This rune is the bread and butter of all runes for this event. If you don't know what to take, this is the rune that I always urge people to take. Now, the perfect substat lines that you're going to be looking for are going to be speed, defense percent, attack percent, and then either accuracy or crit rate. Now, in some cases, some people may consider taking attack percent on this rune less valuable and taking accuracy and crit rate. But personally, I think you're generally better off having 3 grindables and 1 non-grindable and the option to potentially re-roll one of the stats instead. So when you look at this rune and you're looking at, well, how would I use it if it rolled X, Y, and Z? Right? Really fast runes are going to be great for your support CC units. They're going to be great for your tanks. They're going to be great for pretty much everything, right? I mean, fast violent runes are good for everything. If it rolls really high defense, it'll be better for tanky units, maybe some of your supports, units like your Riley, units like Lulu, stuff like that. Those kind of units can use those tanky or support runes really well. But let's say you take it with crit rate and it actually rolls a little bit in a different way. You get crit rolls with like attack rolls or crit rolls and defense rolls, right? In that situation, you're going to be using this on bruisers. Now, it may not be the most common thing, but HP slot 6 Savannah is definitely an option. Tessarian is a very good example of a unit that utilizes the crit rate, HP, speed, and attack. You could also use this on Beast Monks or even Carnal should you wish to build it on crit. There is so much flexibility with how the rune can roll, as well as the starting stats that you can take. So when you get this, you're going to want to upgrade it to 18 speed and then move on from there and try to get your 30 speed rune. Now, people are always going to wonder, you know, at what point is the rune good enough for me to take? Because you have to roll the substats as well, the starting rolls. Personally, I think the absolute bare minimum that you take on an HP slot 6 Violent would be all 4 substats with 6 speed, 7 or 8 defense, 7 or 8 attack, and 7 or 8 accuracy. If you're taking crit rate, I think you absolutely need to have this 6. Now, the reason I'm willing to take 1 under on the other substats is because 1 under on the other substats is only like a 12.75% loss versus, you know, the 1 in 6, which is like an 18-something% loss. And crit rate is also a stat that caps and is not easy to get because it rolls between 4 and 6 versus accuracy, capping at 85 and rolling between 4 and 8. You generally need to get the higher crit, so I do think that crit and speed are absolute must-have maximums, whereas all the other stats, you're willing to take 7 or 8%. Now, there's no need to rush your way through the event, so if you don't quite have the stats yet, don't worry. You know, pace yourself through the event. We do have 2 months to finish it. So hopefully you guys get good rolls, and I'm just excited to see if I can luck sack another quad speed. Now, another really good contender for the event is always going to be the HP Violent slot 4. Now, keep in mind these can also be applied to other sets, especially like Will, but I want to talk about Violent more because it's a more commonly used set. It's 4-piece, so you do need more of them overall. But the reason that I picked HP slot 6 over HP slot 4 in the event in terms of priority is because an HP slot 4 Violent, I think, is actually harder to get a better rune of than it is with the HP slot 6. With the HP slot 6, rolling into crit, rolling into attack, rolling into defense, rolling into accuracy is fine, right? There's a lot of flexibility with that. If you roll into like a slower build, it's great for bruisers, right? With an HP slot 4, generally you are really chasing speed in this situation, right? You're looking for speed, defense, and accuracy under most circumstances, right? You can have some unique builds where you get some crit rate and stuff, but it's definitely not something I would focus on. So when you're looking at the HP slot 4 for substats, the substats that we're looking for are going to be speed, defense, accuracy, and then a flexible stat option of your own. I personally don't like having accuracy and resist in the same rune, so I would actually avoid getting accuracy and resistance. I would be more inclined to take attack percent in that slot or crit percent, right? Crit percent is a lower commonly used one for HP slot 4, but it can still work for some cases. Ideally, you don't roll into it so you can gem over it, but we would also be okay with things like flat HP. Flat HP could be okay. It's not ideal, but at the end of the day, if we're really, really hard set on giving more HP to the unit, then we're going to gem that on as the last line, right? But in a perfect world, we're looking for speed, defense percent, accuracy, and attack percent. We get our 3 grindables and then our 1 valued substat. Let's talk speed slot 2s. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, why would I take a speed slot 2? You know, this gives away a chance that I'm going to get a 30 speed rune. And it does. It totally does. But speed slot 2 is easily your most commonly used rune, right? Speed slot 2s are really hard to get really high efficiency ones because you need so many of them, and they don't generally roll that well. Unless you're reapping a lot of speed slot 2s, you're generally not going to have really, really good ones. Now, this is an event rune of mine from the past where I actually rolled 24 HP, 8 attack, and 8 defense. And my rolls ended up going double into accuracy, right? So I ended up regemming the defense for a higher roll, and this was the result of the rune. Now, when you look at this rune is amazing. It's really good. It's only missing 5% stat, and it does have a 5% overstat by the gem. And then it's obviously missing the innate as well. But how often are you going to get a rune that has this many stat and is that relevant and easy to use? So when you think about using a speed slot 2 on the event, it's totally viable. If you want to do it, feel free to, and you can do it for any set you want as well. I've considered doing a swift one. It's a little bit more of a gamble, but I think that the will ones and the violet ones are honestly very good. A couple friends of mine, if you guys haven't seen Cloud Tears before on YouTube, he's an amazing Siege player. He plays in SSA. I'll put a link right there as well so you can check him out. But he always grabs one speed slot 2 every single event. It's just something that he thinks is super valuable because the amount of value his account will get is always going to be there. So when we're looking at substats for speed slot 2s, my recommendation is one of 3 things, right? The stat you're looking for to roll into is going to be either HP percent, crit rate percent, or accuracy percent. You want to have a rune that either starts with 18 crit, 24 accuracy, or 24 HP. The reason I say these 3 stats is because they're the most valuable to find on slot 2, right? On raw HP bruisers, you really, really want extra HP on your slot 2 if you're running speed slot. For anything that has support or control cleave, you really want 24 accuracy, so you don't need to run the accuracy slot 6. And then if you're looking for a crit damage dealer, finding crit on your slot 1, 2, and 3 are the most valuable, so finding a ton of it on slot 2 is amazing. So in terms of substats, generally I suggest going for attack percent, HP percent, defense percent, and then one of the other 2. So you're looking for accuracy or crit rate as your last line, and it's up to you to kind of pick whatever you want to roll into for your power-up event. Obviously, if you're looking to do something more specific, like let's say you want to make a Barbara rune, right? You might take a Swift rune or a Will rune with attack, crit, HP, and crit damage, or accuracy, for example. That's totally viable as well, but keep in mind that if they don't roll well after the +6, it might be hard to salvage how good that rune is. Sometimes the runes are good regardless, no matter what happens, but it's just something to keep in mind. Another slot for contention is going to be your slot 6 attack percents. This slot is really valuable to me because I run a lot of high damage teams. I really value having fast attack slot 6s, and I'm a really big fan of Beast Riders. So for me, it's always been about crafting runes for my Barbara, making her better. So this rune is an example of a rune I crafted from the event last year. Actually, 2 years ago. So this is one where I took attack, crit rate, HP, and speed. Or there was an attack main with crit damage, HP, and speed. Now, if you're looking for a generic rune, your best bet is going to be taking speed, HP, defense, and crit rate, or accuracy. Crit rate is going to be better for your bruisers, but accuracy is better for a lot of the newer style units that have come out that don't actually need to focus on crit rate to do damage, right? They're either raw attack scaling or the additional damage is helpful for them. So for me, this is still a decent valued rune, but it's not as like focused as other people may think it is. If you're looking for something for Siege, I still think the HP slot 6 Violent is going to be better, especially compared to like a Violent versus Will rune, but it's completely up to you based on what you're missing on your account. Now let's talk about a couple more unique runes, things that are still worth taking, but really have to make sense for your account, right? So let's talk about crit damage, and then we'll talk about crit rate. So crit damage main is very valuable, and as you can see, this is not actually an event rune, but it's just something I wanted to give an example of. Now, if you've watched my re-app video with Lucky, then you've understood that slot 4s are really valuable to find 4 grindables or 3 grindables plus either the crit rate or the accuracy. When you're looking for this rune, the ideal goal is going to be to find speed, HP, defense, attack with 18 speed, right? From there, you can choose to gem out one of the stats for either crit rate or accuracy should you wish. But overall, you're really going to want to have that high speed on a slot like this. Similarly to crit rate, right? When you're looking at a crit rate rune, we're going to be looking at, well, let me just pull one of the violet ones out because one of these is actually my event rune. I believe it is this one. So this is a rune that I crafted a long time ago. It's super valuable to me. I've been using it ever since I made it. This rune is great, but the problem is I didn't have enough time to finish the event, right? So I was away for a while and didn't have a chance to properly roll my rune. So I ended up taking this rune to the flat defense, and I actually got really lucky. Right? In a perfect world, crit rate is going to be treated the same way as crit damage with the substats. You're going to be looking for speed, HP, defense, attack, and you're going to be looking for that 18 speed so you can roll from there. Should you wish to, you can obviously gem accuracy % or a flat HP over something if you want, but overall, the 4 main grindable stats are going to be your best bet. So I want to talk about a couple sets that might not be main focus, but they might be just the right thing for your account. So for me, I was missing a crit rate slot 4 on Despair for a really long time. And so last event, I crafted a crit rate slot 4, and this boosted the progression of my account in RTA by a significant margin. I went from having a limited Juno build of like 161 or plus 161 to being able to bring her to that plus 272 or plus 171 range, right? That kind of improvement is something that when you're looking for what to craft on the event, you need to go look at what you have and figure out what's holding you back the most, right? Similarly to the way that you would re-app runes based on what you're missing in your account, this event is perfect for that. This event is the best chance you're going to get to solving the problem of that missing hole in your account. If you need a crit rate Despair slot 4, if you need a revenge crit rate slot 4, if you need a revenge HP slot 6, it is totally viable to take the set and the slot that you need the most. But keep in mind, if you're going to be taking a rune with the intention of PvE and progression, I really hope that you consider taking something that can also be used in PvP somewhere down the road. Now, for me, that's most likely going to be the attack slot 6 Will. I think that there's a ton of value out of that, or even the Violent or Will speed slot 2 with high crit. I think that those are going to be the bigger PvE get runes that still have late game value. But at the end of the day, whatever you need for your account is really important. And if you have questions about it, you're not sure, you're like, hey, I'm thinking about crafting this rune. I don't really know if it's a good idea. These are the units I'm kind of trying to build. This is what I feel like I'm missing. Leave a comment below. You guys know I answer as many of the comments as I can. Anything that's relevant or anything that kind of is inquiring for advice, I would be happy to answer you. And I really, really hope that I can bring more knowledge to you, because that's kind of the value that I feel like I bring to the community here, right? This channel is designed around, I want you guys to be a better version of yourself every day. And even if that's only 1% better, after 100 days, you're gonna be twice as good as you were when you started. So if you guys have questions, you're not sure about things, feel free to ask, reach out. We have a Discord community. You can ask in the YouTube comments. But at the end of the day, I really hope that all of you do get your 30 speed runes. And I say runes, not just one, runes. So I hope you guys have a wonderful time with this event. And I hope that the information in this video is great. I really hope it helped you guys. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.